Hello and welcome back to From Dial Square to Where. I hope you all had a great Christmas break, holiday break, whatever you want to call it, and a very good Happy New Year to every one of you that's watching and listening. Got a great panel with me tonight as normal. I'll just go round clockwise as I normally do. First one, Melvin. How are you, Melvin?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. It's all right, the rest of you haven't got to be mute. Don't worry, you can say hello to Melvin.
Hello, Melvin.
Hello, Melvin.
There we go. There we go. Let's not be so rude. And Ryan, how are you, Ryan?
Yeah, all things considered. Yeah, Happy New Year as well. And yeah, I'm good.
Officially, it's going to be the last time I wish anyone a Happy New Year because I think it's pushing
getting
the boundaries of being too late.
Last day now. That's it.
Well, yeah, I thought it was like 3 hours after the New Year came in.
I know, it normally is. But this is our first show back. It's our first show back, so give us all a break. Richard, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to be good to see your channel back up and running again after its little break. Always nice to be on as well. So yeah, no, fantastic. Right. Happy New Year to everybody. I think I've said Happy New Year to everybody apart from Chappers, I think, so far.
And to you, Rich.
So yeah, I think we're all sorted for that now.
Fantastic. Right. Well, you've just done the intro for me. How are you, Chappers?
Yeah, man, I'm okay. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Thank you very much.
Grand. And look, I'd wish you Happy New Year, but like I say, it's my rule to only wish people Happy New Year 3 hours after it's happened. 3 years after it's happened. 3 years. Yeah, so 3 years' time, I'll be wishing
happy
you
2018, everyone.
For 2021. All right.
Am I the only person as well that wants to take down their Christmas decorations on Boxing Day?
I always wait till January the 2nd. I think January the 2nd is the time to take them down.
I just want to get them out of the way as soon as Christmas is over, because as far as I'm concerned, Boxing Day is Christmas is finished.
Yeah,
I'm just obviously a bar humbug.
I think the problem is more when people put them up. People putting them up in November. Put them up 3 days before Christmas. Take them down January the 2nd. Job's done. That's it.
Well, that's because they're on the shelves in bloody September, isn't it? That's why.
October, you start seeing Christmas lights outside houses. That's just ridiculous. So
anyone who does that, literally, they need to have a really good word with themselves, I think. December the 21st, maybe 22nd, they should go up and come down on January the 2nd, and then that's all you need. You got a week and a half of it. That's it.
And next week on next week's episode of Grumpy Old Men.
Well, obviously, since we were last on, we've had a really, really good Christmas as far as Arsenal are concerned. I'm not going to go through all the matches and all that sort of stuff, but we can have a bit of a recap.
Why? Because we won them. We won them. Why? Why not?
Because everyone else has about 1 million times, mate.
Tiny little minutiae of the match, please. Even what hair product they use. Come on, jumping at the bit here, man.
I mean, you know how I've been feeling about all these games, the last 3 games we've had. Because my man Emile Smith-Rowe's been in the team, and I was like, yes, about bloody time and all. I mean, Melvin, just a quick recap of the 3 games, all rolled into one, really. I mean, it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air, hasn't it?
Yeah, very nice to see the ball moving quickly, moving forward, not sideways and backwards all the time. It shows the boys have got confidence, whoever's on the pitch. But we have got the boys to do it. You needed a spark from somewhere to get the engine going, and it was the young boys, and hopefully they can carry it on. So, yeah, enjoyable at the moment. Long may it carry on.
Definitely. And it shows you as well, a lot of the times, that a lot of the other players we're just condemning all the time as crap, and we need to get are actually fairly decent players as long as you actually play them in the right positions. Like a good example, Ryan, is like what I think is Ceballos, because I think if you think back on all the good games that Ceballos has had, it's when he's not sort of sitting deep all the time, the whole match. He's more of the connector between a defensive midfielder and the number
attack.
10.
Yeah.
When if he gets the free reign of that and so he can be a bit more creative, then you see the best of Bios as well. Well, I don't know what you think about that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can say that's true, because when Partey was playing, when he first came to us, we did see that. Because we had someone solid in that position behind him, he had that freedom to run forward and be that connect between the defence and the attack itself, and play his game that we've seen him play before he came to us in the first place two summers ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, people are nitpicking over this interview he's had. Like, if he doesn't care about a club, if it's a loan, he doesn't get on his hands. Exactly. Also, that's the thing. He's employed by Real Madrid. No matter
exactly. He's a Real Madrid player. So what else is he supposed to say to the Spanish press?
Exactly. And also, if he didn't care about what's going on at Arsenal, he doesn't go on his hands and knees pretty much every goal's in and start celebrating like he wants, like just won the World Cup or something. But,
there was that time where he that very, very brief period where he went back to Spain, didn't he? Went back to Real Madrid before we loaned him again, and he was and I think it was a Charity Shield match, wasn't it? And he was absolutely going wild for us, So I don't really know where that shit kind of comes from. Well, you do, don't you? But
the criticism is ridiculous. He's a Spanish radio station interview. He's a Real Madrid contracted player. What's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to say? No, I'd never want to come back here ever again. That's just an absolute joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your thoughts, Richard, overall about our upturn in form, and anything else you sort of want to bring up about it, really?
Well, I mean, I think we all know that the only reason why we've won 3 matches in a row is because your mate's been playing. I think that's the only reason.
Thank you very much. And this guy. And this guy. Tierney. Did you see that?
Oh, sorry. I was looking for a player called Builder's Bum, but I don't find him.
No. He's our best player, yeah.
This is a very, very low sofa. Thank you very much. I hope you didn't see too much of my crack.
But no, I mean, I think that all the other players, Tierney's been playing before, Saka's been playing before. I suppose Martinelli hasn't, but Smith Rowe's the only one really who's come in who hasn't been playing. And suddenly we're a different team. So that can only be the reason. So obviously Andrew saw this coming months ago, as he's been telling us. And quite frankly, when Arteta does leave, I think we've got an obvious replacement.
I said I was calling for it during Emery's first season. I mean, he had a couple of sniffs of first team football under Emery. We can see now what I've been on about. I mean, remember when I said about he could potentially save us 50 million in this transfer market. Well, you can see what I was on about now, but I just really hope that he can continue his good form and stay injury-free, because he's only going to get better and better. I mean, consider this is his first proper football in, this year. Last year now, obviously.
Had he started, Andrew, you might know this, had he actually started a Premier League game before the Chelsea game? He hadn't, had he, I don't?
No. He has.
No.
I don't remember it. On Match of the Day, when they were doing the teams, they said...
he had one. He had one. It was Everton when he was first... when Arteta was first appointed and he was in the stands.
Yeah. Did he start that game, or did he come on?
He started, I think.
Oh. No, I think he did start.
I don't know what game it was, but they said, the commentator goes, this is his second start since he's been...
It's true. Yeah, it is. It's Everton.
Okay. It might be the first start this season, I don't know.
I wasn't sure if he started a Premier League game before, because, if he hasn't, even if it was only his second start against Chelsea, then if he's only started in his whole career 4 Premier League games and he's producing those performances and having that much influence on the game at 20-year-old, then it asks the question, where's he been Why haven't they been using him prior to this? I know he's been injured as well, but he's played in the Europa League quite a bit. Why has he not played in the Premier League before? If this is what he can do after 3 or 4 games, it's madness, really. But it's great that he's in the team now. Let's hope that he's managed properly, because he's had injuries. What we don't want to do is burn him out just because of how well he's been playing. I think it's important that we don't just keep playing him. It was good that Martinelli got rested, because we don't want him to get burnt out just back from an injury. And I think him coming back's made a difference as well. And those are the 2 players that's not been playing all season, and they suddenly come into the team and we're transformed. And that's the reason. Nothing else. Everybody else is the same. All the other players are the same. They've played all season, played crap, most of them, apart from Saka and Tierney. And suddenly you get these 2 back in the team, or these 2 in the team for the first time. We're transformed. And it's almost unbelievable.
I'm telling you now, you will see, you'll
Mm.
only see Smith Rowe getting better and better and better. And when he's got Thomas Partey behind him as well, I mean, even that's going to be even better for him. But I honestly think, from everything that I've watched and seen and of Smith Rowe, I think he's got the same sort of ceiling as Saka, but obviously a different type of player completely. But I think he could be as good as Saka eventually, once he's got all this, a bit more experience under his belt. I think he's fantastic. I mean, the movement, and he never stops running. He's quick. I mean, he's just extremely intelligent.
But why then? And I totally agree with everything you're saying. So why has Saka played 50, 60 games and Smith Rowe's played less than 10? I know he's been
I think it's mainly because of the injuries, isn't it? Yeah, he's been in and out of the side quite. He's been in and out of training, should I say, quite a lot, in the sense that it's just taken him so long to get back to full fitness, because he just keeps picking up a knock here and niggle there, and it is a shame. But looking on the bright side, looking forward, hopefully he's going to be a real fulcrum for us, creatively in the future. Sure.
Let's just hope he's not another Jack Wilshere. All these injuries, that's the only kind of worry that we might have with him. I mean, now he's got to run in the team. Let's hope that he can push on from there. Bearing in mind, Jack Wilshere had a season and a half, didn't he, when he was 18, 19 in the team playing every week, and then it all went sort of wrong for him. So let's just hope that if Smith isn't going to be an injury hit player, he's going to be able to develop. And like Andrew said, similar to how Saka has, because Saka's been absolutely brilliant, and he's been lucky he hasn't really had any proper injuries yet, has he? Which has been great. So, I can see him developing just as quickly once he's playing regularly again, because that's what's done with Saka, hasn't it? Saka played a couple of games, then was out, and then he got a run in the team, and suddenly he's blossomed. And I think Smith Rowe will do the same if he gets the same opportunity.
If we manage him right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, people keep saying we can't overplay him, blah blah blah, and I totally agree. But he is only going to get to bulk up and gain his fitness by playing more football at this time. I don't know whether any of you guys are Arsenal Vision podcast Patreons, but there's a Patreon podcast, and Elliot interviewed one of the analysts from Huddersfield Town and talked to him about Emile Smith Rowe. I mean, he could not have spoken any higher of him as a player and as a person, his family, everything about the kid is just makes you so excited. But you've got to try and temper it in a bit more. But the thing he said at the end was the most important thing. He's just got to play football. He's got to play as many matches as possible, because that's the way he's going to bulk up, get stronger, and that will help with his injuries. And the good thing is, Richard, though, as well, when you made the comparison with Jack Wilshere, and I've said this before, but his injuries haven't been in the same place all the time. It's not one thing he's having problems with. He's just been extremely unlucky, whereby, I mean, the last one obviously was his shoulder. He's had knee and an ankle, and that's the good thing. That gives you a little bit of comfort, because it's not the same thing that keeps going all the time, like Wilshere's ankle. So he just needs to play as much football as he can. But obviously, I mean, we've got the best doctors in the world. Obviously, we're one of the top clubs in the world. We've just got to manage him properly, like everyone said. But he needs to play as much football as he can, really, now. And he's got plenty of catching up to do with Saka.
I agree with what you're saying, definitely. I agree with what you're saying, for sure. Sorry, go on, Melvin. Go on.
No, that's
What
right.
are you gonna say?
Just to say with this Wilshere comparison, I think there's a slight difference, and an important difference. Wilshere would take the game or the ball to the edge. He'll risk injury every time he had the ball, Wilshere. He'd beat a player, go to then push the ball a little bit too far, not purposely, but then go in for it, not thinking, hold on, perhaps this is the one, I'll let this one go. He did not want to lose any tackle ever, Wilshere. Good luck to him, but it came against him because, you know, and he got one bad injury and your ankle with the tackles the whole time, any slight injury that went a bit dodgy, it's going to play on his ankle again. The weak spot, he had a weak spot, like you say, but he didn't help it by taking the game to the edge, where I think Smith Rowe actually will move the ball quicker, not look to go past three men, and release the ball a bit, as I say, a bit quicker as well and run on. So I think he'd be fine. I think he'd be fine.
He's also got another benefit as well, Smith Rowe, because he's quicker. He's much quicker than Wilshere was, and Wilshere had a lot of his problems with his ankles were down to. And this is what I've heard from, I think it was our old physio that's gone back to, what's his name, Gary Driscoll, and he said he's got he's got an unusual running sort of gait where his legs are slightly not bandy but unusual, and it put extra stress on his ankles. I don't know if you've heard that, but
I heard something about that. I can't remember the footballer. They said he's similar to another footballer. I can't think of the other footballer you mentioned.
Yeah. He's got the way his foot plants on the floor put extra stress on his ankles and joints. So that's another problem for Wilshere. But like I say, I think he's got more speed to get out of trouble as well, Smith Rowe.
I was going to say the same thing.
We did overplay Wilshere, didn't we? Let's face it. At 16 or whatever, it's 17. Yeah. We so outplayed.
First season he played over 50 games, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, one of them at Barcelona.
Yeah. Oh, hello, chappers.
Not going well, mate. Every time my knees hit the desk, I have a collapse.
Anyway, let's have your thoughts, chappers, just to sort of round up the Christmas games that we've had. If you've got anything sort of more you want to add, really.
Well, I just one thing, I guess, is that just the malaise that we were in, like a statement had to be made somewhere along the line, didn't it? And Arteta went, well, okay, so I've got these young players available to me. They seem to be the hungry ones. They seem to be the ones that want it the most. And so he picked, a relatively young team. Okay, so actually it was his hand was somewhat forced a little bit by the fact that there were COVID issues and injury issues and all that sort of stuff. But they absolutely pulled it out of the bag for him and for the team. And actually, they've made a massive statement now, and they've set the bar for the rest of the should we call them? What should we call them?
Senior players.
Well, I was going to call them something a little bit more derogatory than that, but I'll go with that.
The shit players. That's what you mean, chap. Was the shit
players?
We're all friends.
Shall we say the ones with the less than exemplary attitude towards playing, and they've really taken it to them and gone, well, okay, this is what's happening now. This is what we've got going on. Saka's said to Pepe, okay. I think that right spot's mine now, and the players like Pepe and also like Luiz as well, because Holding's had a really good run in the team. A lot of players now really have to play for that. Willian as well, obviously, have to play for their places, and they have to really show that they're hungry for it. And I think that is absolutely what's been lacking, certainly in the last 10 games. Okay, we've been a bit unlucky in places, but I'm absolutely all for it. I'm here for it, as they say. Basically having the team picked on merit and setting the bar really high. So yeah, long may that continue. That's what I say.
Definitely, yeah. I think really good point about bringing up Holding. I think he's been a bit of an unsung hero the last few games as well. And
Totally.
definite shout out to Pablo Mari as well. I think he was. He's considering what people haven't taken into account when sort of summarising him. He's hardly played a single match all year 2020. If you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many games did he play for us before he got injured? I mean, 1.5?
4 or 5? No, it's about 4 games, wasn't it?
Was it hardly any, though. Hardly any in a whole calendar year.
Listen, I've got something to say about the centre halves. Yes, I think Mari's done all right considering he's hardly kicked the ball. I think Holding stepped up, but, and there is a very big but, in those 3 games we played, we didn't play against one centre forward.
We played against some very quick ones in Chelsea, though.
They ain't centre forwards. Weren't centre forwards.
I know, but they dealt with him really well.
Would you not say that Abraham was a centre forward?
Yeah, but he scored.
Well, yeah, fair.
But I think they've done really well, to be fair. Considering
they've done all right, but they haven't been under
the first 80 minutes. For the first 80 minutes, Abraham didn't get a look in, did he?
In my opinion.
No.
I think as well, Mo played for Brighton. He's had a good record against us, and I know he didn't play the whole game, but Mari kept him pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Not for long, though, was it? How long was he on the pitch for?
For 3 games. I think he's done really well, Mari.
Yeah, it was half a game, half a game or something, yeah.
He's clearly not match fit yet. I mean, you can't be after 3 games, can you? I mean, seriously, you can't. It's not possible. So
Saka only needed 1 game, didn't he?
Oh, for God's sake. Are you going to be like this all night, Ramil? Oh, yeah, seriously. Trying to antagonise me.
In the cup final, he was outstanding in the cup final. He hadn't kicked the ball in a year.
I'm joking. But he's 19, mate. He's 19 and he hasn't had a serious injury, has he?
No.
Fair play. All right, then. One guy we have to mention as well is the guy I got on the back of my shirt, Kieran Tierney. He is literally sort of, he almost felt like he's dragged all the rest of the team with him. I love his after post-match comments as well, his interviews, and he's just. I just wish you could have a whole team of Kieran Tierney's, don't you? Really? I mean, it'd just be amazing. What an attitude he's got, and.
He'll catch his cold though, going out in his t-shirt in the snow.
I don't think
it's hilarious.
The guy's made a fucking granite.
That's the summer to him.
I don't know. I think that's a dangerous game he's playing now. I think he is in the current climate. Going out in the snow with monkeys. What did your mum always say to you when you was a kid? Don't go outside in the snow without a coat on.
Unless you're Kieran Tierney.
They call you a pussy if you wear a coat in Scotland.
That's his summer.
When he walked out in the West Brom game, he goes, "Call this snow." No, he's not. He's all right.
Yeah, so remember the old Crocodile Dundee? He said, "That's not a knife. Yeah. This is a knife." He'd be coming out with that's not fuck. That's not snow. This is snow. He's like up to his.
They call that snow.
But I absolutely love him.
Sorry, sir.
Anyway, let's try to move on to the transfers, and obviously there's only one name on people's lips, but unfortunately that name is banned. So,
guy
today, So can we call him Brian? Okay. So you know who I'm on about, Melvin?
The snail in the red roundabout.
I don't want to use that guy's name, so we'll call him Brian. Okay.
Mr. Osborne. Mr. Osborne. Brian Osborne.
I prefer Brian. But he's been linked to a couple of clubs, and there's been a interview by James Ollie. Been an interview by James Ollie with his representative, shall we say? It seems fairly promising that Brian could leave this month, which would be what a bonus that would be. It will make such a difference to the squad, I think. and just to finally get rid of all that negativity.
It bookends
all the
it,
constant questions, whether he should be in the team, whether he should be out of the team, whether... I can't wait, to be perfectly honest. I mean, what's your thoughts about it, Melvin? I'm pretty much guess, you know, what you're going to say, but...
Well, if he goes...
Do you want Brian to leave this month?
If he goes this month, I'll be happy, because it'll take the smell away from the club. It's a horrible smell at the moment, and that will brighten everything up. So, yes, I mean, I don't think he's going to play for us, whether he stays or not, so just get rid. You know, get rid. Thank you very much. And good luck with your new team, whoever that may be.
See, Ryan, I mean, I can't put all the blame onto him. And I can't say I'm one of these people that absolutely hate the bloke either. But we need to get rid of him, don't we? We need to get rid of him. Because all this message of Arsenal's, you know, we've done it ourselves, haven't we, as a club? And... I don't know. He's not brought. He's done a lot of bad things himself, you know, by bringing the club, you know, bringing the name of the club down. But I mean, what's your thoughts about it overall, really? And do you think it's realistic that we might be able to get rid of Brian this month?
Possibly, but from what we're hearing, it's a very high chance than what we. Because to be honest, a few weeks ago we just thought he's going to see out his contract and run it down so he can get a sign-on bonus. But it does look like. Now he got his bonus last summer. He's willing to go. Thank God, because him and his PR team are poison to this club. Whilst he's still at this club, him and that PR team are absolute poison. No matter what happens, he has to have a say in it. There's always, what was the Gunnar thing? Oh, you know what? Whilst I'm still at this club, I will pay his wages.
That annoyed me, really did.
And then. Back in the summer, that interview back in the summer when he was like, I will decide when I leave, and things like the Affleck and David Ornstein and all that. I was like, he actually believes he's bigger than what the club is.
Well, he's got more. How many followers he's got? Do you know how many followers he's got on Twitter?
How many of them?
He's got 25 million. He's not bigger than the club, right? Let's get that straight. He's got 25 million followers on Twitter. Arsenal have got 16 million followers on Twitter. That is weird, you know. That is like, wow. Yeah. So that's probably why he thinks he's bigger than the club, and his entourage are telling him that, aren't they? You're wonderful, but
he brought the followers. He didn't earn them. He brought them.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it. A lot of Arsenal fans obviously are not on Twitter. There's probably a minuscule percentage of the Arsenal fans that are actually on Twitter. So I wouldn't take any of those sort of figures to heart, really. But let's just hope all these people on Twitter that I'm not going to call them Arsenal fans because they ain't. But if you say anything bad against Brian, they'll just slag you off really badly.
You know nothing about
accuse
football,
you of
basically.
racism and you know, whatever. They'll accuse you of
well, did you see my?
Go with him. I hope they leave and follow Brian to his next club, to be perfectly honest.
Did you see my... did you read anything I put on there today about Brian with somebody quite well known? Oh, yeah, it's a bit of to and fro.
Yeah, I saw that, Melvin. Yeah, I've been following that quite closely.
Oh, I thought I was being called a racist at one stage, but he came back on that. So I asked him the question straight out. And he says, no.
I was following that when you mentioned it earlier, so I had a little follow of all of that because I found it quite interesting. But yeah, this is one of the problems, isn't it? I think what's happened is, if we're just talking football, then it's a completely different conversation. So if you start talking about the whole circus around Brian, right? And to me, if we just talk football, I think all of us would probably be in agreement that he could still probably do a job in the team if it was just football only. But with all the other stuff that goes on, you can't have a conversation, as we've said, with anybody about him without it going off on some sort of tangent, really, because of everything else. And that's the only reason. I mean, me personally, I always really admire him, not only for his ability, but also for his human rights stance and, you know, the good that he's done in the world. You know, he's tried to use his celebrity status and his money and his fame for good use out off the pitch, and I think that's commendable. And the fact that he's played for our club for this amount of time as well is actually a commendable thing for us that we should really be able to appreciate that. It's just unfortunately over the last year or so in particular, with all the other stuff that's gone on, it's got to the point where it's untenable and he has to go. And I think that's, it's a shame. I personally think it's a shame because I think he would walk into most other Premier League teams and play every week. Most other Premier League teams. There's only maybe one or two that he maybe wouldn't do. And we're struggling. We're like mid-table. We're a mid-table team. If he can't get into our team, then there's a problem because he'd walk into any other Premier League team apart from maybe 2 or 3 at the top, and that's it. So there's an issue.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
you've hit the nail on the head, Rich. I mean, that's the thing. You can't talk about football when it comes to Brian anymore. That's the last type of conversation you will have about Brian. It's not about football. No. And it's everything else. And that is the problem.
I agree.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. There's no way that he's not good enough to play for a Premier League team. It's just ridiculous. But there you go.
I'm sad. I'm quite sad about how all this is ending. Actually,
I am.
Really, really sad. It should have been sorted out last summer, if we're honest, before it got to this stage, and it wasn't. And I just feel a bit sad for him. I feel sad for the club. I feel sad for everyone who's involved in it, to be honest, because it's a mess, and it didn't need to be like this. And unfortunately, this situation that we're in, and it does need a line drawn under it. Everybody needs to move on. But all I'll say is, I think we've all been left with some great memories of him on the pitch, and that's like a lot of great players that play for the club and moved on and gone elsewhere. You're left with those memories, and that they'll remain. And hopefully in time everybody can forget all the other stuff and actually just appreciate the fact that for 5 or 6 years we had one of the best players in his position in the world playing for Arsenal, representing us on the pitch and giving us some great memories and some great moments and some trophies as well that he contributed to. So, and that's how I think we need to remember him.
I think I mentioned. I think it was on your show, Rich. When I was in, during lockdown and throughout the sort of the last few months, I was listening back to old episodes of like the Tuesday Club and stuff, the podcast from quite a few years ago, and I listened to all the shows when we signed Mesut Ozil and all the excitement, and everyone couldn't stop talking about him. And then I listened to quite a few episodes after the signing about how just everyone was just blown away by how good he was on the pitch, and all it's so lovely to hear just talking about Brian's football, and how good he was at football.
Good old Brian.
I know. Brian's it was lovely football. Though. And it really brought it all back about how exciting it was when we signed him and how good he was on the pitch at that point.
That little interview, that Wenger interview was something else.
I feel really sad. I do feel sad about the way it's ending. I can't help that.
Get out the highlights from 2015-2016 season. Look at the highlights of that season, and you'll see one of the greatest players ever to play for Arsenal playing in that team in that season. And unfortunately, that's all forgotten about, and it's a shame.
I was minded of my favourite Brian goal just today on Twitter. I think it was against Olympiacos, where he makes the run. He's the last man. There's a nice sort of long ball over the top, and he just does this beautiful little dink just over the keeper, then takes it past one, then shimmies and takes it past another, and just whacks it.
Ludogorets, that was again.
Ludogorets, that's right. Oh my God! And also, I also had to remark to myself, that's a lovely, lovely kit that Arsenal were wearing that particular day.
It was one of my favourite.
Yeah. Might have to see if I can get my hands on that one.
Yeah. That's a nice
but what a goal! What a goal! Absolutely beautiful.
Honestly, at his best, like Richard said, he was just breathtaking, wasn't he? And we didn't see enough of it, unfortunately, during his whole time here. But we had him for that period of time. And when we bought him, he doesn't. You don't think about it very often. We bought him from Real Madrid when he was only 24.
Yeah,
24-year-old. It was absolutely just. We should have had all of his prime years.
And 32 million, which is in these days, it's chump change actually.
That's such a bargain.
Absolutely. 24 is nothing. I mean, that's pre-prime, really.
Yeah.
So it's such a shame the way it's worked out, and the fact that we've lost two of his best years.
I remember Brian
hardly seeing him at all.
Yeah, I remember watching
Sorry,
him when
Melvin.
he played for. I remember Brian when he played for Germany. He hadn't yet gone to Real Madrid, and we were in the mix for him even then. I thought, God, what a player this guy is! I wonder if we could get him. Really wish we could get him, and it never happened. Obviously, Real Madrid come knocking. There we go. But to get him just a few years later was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I know, and that memory and you know, and what you've just said, Melvin, that is what really makes me sad about the whole situation. And I always have been sad about the whole situation. He's not helped himself, but Arsenal haven't helped themselves either in lots of cases. And it's just a case of being in the middle of. It's like Arsenal fans are the children and your mum and dad, the club, and Brian are going through really bad times and they're arguing non-stop, and then you're going through a divorce and you've got to stand there in the middle of it both, you know, just like that's how you feel sometimes with the.
Don't worry, it's not your fault though. It's not your fault.
Yeah, I know exactly. Right. I just want to go and live with my auntie.
I've got a hot take actually. I've got a hot take. It's not going to happen, but it is definitely hot take territory. So, Jose Mourinho, right? Is he spiteful enough? Because obviously he worked with Mesut at Real Madrid, didn't he?
Brian.
With Brian at Real Madrid. So, is Jose spiteful enough to tap Brian on the shoulder and say, Brian, why don't you come over here? Why don't you come and play for wages?
Well, you then he can on the bench with Bale, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry? What did you say?
I mean,
he can warm the bench with Gareth Bale.
I mean, there's no way they could afford Brian and Bale.
Well, quite. But you never know.
It might make them go bust. So that's not a bad idea. Actually. It might send them over the edge, and then they have to sell their players. They'll have to sell their ground. They'll be playing at Barnet or something like that with no players. They'll get relegated down to League Two. It'd be quite good.
Wood.
With Boreham Wood's ours, they can have Barnet.
Definitely. I wouldn't be adverse to that.
No, I wouldn't be averse to that either.
I could live with that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's the way forward.
All those in favour, raise your hands.
Yeah, I'm in favour. Yeah, I'm in favour. That's past.
Glad we got that one sorted, boys. Good.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly say hello to Mark in the chat as well. Thanks ever so much, Mark. And he's
how do I get the? Oh no, so I can get the chat up. I can do it. I can't see any of you lot, but I can get the chat.
Hopefully, Brian will be gone this window and take Louise, Willian, Xhaka and Bellerin with him. I'm not sure about Bellerin. I think he's getting
man.
I'm really quite happy with Bellerin at the moment.
Yeah,
if I'm honest.
We're not going to have
I know that before someone jumps down my throat that he's not the best defender. Well, everyone knows that. However, I don't think fullbacks are nowadays. But I think he's doing us a good job at the moment. I don't think he's the top of our list of priorities. What's he put? I haven't got the glasses on.
Brian's married, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got a baby as well, yeah.
Yeah, just had a baby, yeah.
I'm told she's going to make a film. They're going to call it The Wife of
Life of Brian.
Life of Brian. He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy.
He's a very naughty footballer. But he does a lot for charity, mate. Put things into perspective, Ronaldo had 250 million followers on Instagram. So yeah, it does put things into perspective. Everything comes to an end, which is true. I'm going to move on to some more of the sort of the incoming potential, and I don't know what your thoughts are really on this, but I can't help but think that to go for someone like Buendia this summer, this winter, is accepting second best. I'm not saying that he's not a good player, because he is. but I don't know whether we are going for him just because he's more of a realistic target rather than pursuing someone. And I don't know who, because it's not my job to know who.
No, mate.
No.
Let me stop you
I
there.
don't know whether we're accepting second best.
No. Let me stop you there. When Buendia was Norwich's standout performer in the Premier League, okay, without doubt. He's their standout performer in the Championship as well. Okay, he is exactly what we need as far positionally wise, and I mean, you know, I fully accept that it is a very Arsenal deal to do, but I would also wager that were Wenger still in charge, that would be exactly the type of deal that he would be chasing. And
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
He would go abroad. He wouldn't buy from.
Well, okay. I mean,
give me one example of a similar purchase he made.
Rob Holding. That is my example.
It's not similar though. That's a central defender.
But yes, he is a central defender. But what I suppose what I'm trying to say is
for $2 million
is that we have not got a lot of money, and we're
being quoted 40 for Buendia.
That's not realistic. I don't think that'll be that much.
But they will get 100 if they get promoted.
I think
and he's their best player.
True. I think though that there'll be a sweetener the other way. I don't think that. I think that perhaps Willock or Nelson will go, but I think it'll probably be a loan. It'll be likely to be Willock, I'd imagine, but maybe Nelson. Who knows? But I don't think we'll end up paying 40 million. No.
In the summer, he was available for 12 million. I would have gone for that. No problem at all, because you can't lose.
Yeah.
But they don't have to sell. They don't need the money.
But who else are we going to go for?
22.5 million. You could get. Don't
say Julian Brandt.
Yeah. What? He's not the same type of player.
Hang on.
22.5 million euros.
He's German. His name's Julian. What could go wrong? Arsenal are interested. What could go wrong?
22.5 million euros. You can't lose with a Julian Brandt.
Well,
you'll get your money back.
I've never seen Julian Brandt play a single game of football in my life. I've seen Emi Buendia play several games of football and light up the pitch. And if he can take anywhere near what he does for Norwich into our midfield, alongside the likes of Partey in the midfield, then I think it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
I think that if we could have got him in the summer for 12 million, 100%. We could have got Eze for 12 million in the summer. I would prefer him than Buendia.
Right. Would you really? I rated Buendia when he came up. When he,
I like him. Don't get me wrong, though, chappers. I like Buendia, but I don't think he's going to be the type of player that we need to take us to the next level, to get us and establish us in the top four.
Do you think Liverpool said that when they?
So this is my other point. This is my other point I was going to make. Okay, you may say that. Okay, but Buendia is exactly the sort of player that we could have in our squad. Okay, that would not necessarily take all the minutes away from Emile Smith-Rowe. So
that's what I like.
The two of those guys are essentially sharing that position or competing for that position, and the best one gets to play. I like that aspect. What's it's like I say, it's a no-brainer. What is there to lose?
Because we're not going to get him cheap. We are going to have to pay somewhere in the region of 40 million quid.
I don't reckon we're going to pay that much. But I reckon 25.
Richard, what you said,
I reckon we'll pay 25.
No, I don't think so. Why would you sell him for 25 million if you're Norwich?
If he wants to leave,
if the player wants to go, then
doesn't matter. It's under contract
difficult not to sell, isn't it? But if the player wants somebody say something about Delia Smith there.
Oh yeah, but she's not the one that puts the money. She's a director. She's not necessarily going to put the money in, is she? Who have they got a big foreign or whatever?
Stuart Webber is their director of football, technical director, whatever. I absolutely rate him so highly. I mean, they've done some brilliant business, Norwich, brilliant business, and they are under no need to sell. Now, if he starts kicking up a fuss, fine, no problem. But they're still not going to sell him cheap, because if he's their best player at the moment, and they are top of the championship, almost not guaranteed any million years, but they've got a very, very good chance of getting promoted, which they'll get another 100 million quid. So why it'd be like us selling Van Persie for 22 million quid to Man United and giving them the title? I mean, we would be stupid enough to do that. Actually, sorry, but no. Why would they sell him cheap to us?
Well, it depends.
I'm not saying that we're getting cheap.
Not going up.
I'm not saying that they'd get him cheap, but I'm saying that they would get a substantial amount of money to be able to invest wisely in a player that's going to help them go up. I think. Plus, also, if you add to the fact that we're going to be loaning one of our players, or even selling one of our, part exchanging one of our players, then they are going to still have that quality in their squad.
So this is the problem I've got, really. I think we've got it all down. I'm peeling away all the layers of the onion, getting to the middle part. It's the money part. Because what you said, Richard, is exactly right. Did you think Liverpool said that when they bought Wijnaldum? But they got Wijnaldum, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, about 8 million quid they paid for Wijnaldum. And that's the difference. 8 million quid. No, I mean, God, no issue.
Robertson never cost too much more than that, did he? Robertson was about 8 million money.
About 4 or 5, something. It was around that 5, 8 million.
I'm sure that Wijnaldum was about the same.
Yeah, because they've both been relegated just that season with Hull and Newcastle respectively. But also it depends on how much of a kick-off he has in wanting to force the move. And then thinking, would it affect their promotion things in this, that and the other? Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I've got no issue with buying a player from a championship club, even a League One club. I don't care, as long as they're the right person. And the fact they've been relegated, no issue at all. But the problem I've got, like I said, is spending that much money on someone. If I don't think we're going to get him cheap, and if we're going to spend 40 million on him, I mean, we've got Thomas Partey,
which I don't think we will,
for crying out loud. So
I don't think we'll spend 40 million.
I'd rather
genuinely don't
spend the money on someone just to the next level, And
I think that's why we're offering a player exchange as well, part of the deal.
Yeah,
either Willock or Nelson, to lower the price. I think that's the idea.
Yeah,
I know.
And I wouldn't have a problem with Willock going if we got Buendia in exchange.
I mean, what you've got to remember, Andrew, is right. How good Buendia can be in a better team with better players and better coaching is an unknown at this moment in time. But we've spent 40 million or around about that figure buying players from foreign countries in foreign leagues that don't know the English game, that sometimes have taken 18 months to settle in, and they've not worked out. We've got a player who knows the Premier League, he knows the English game. He's been successful to a degree with a club that he's at. He's, like Chapper said, he's their best player, and he's been their best player since he's been there. He's only 24 years old. We've got a bit like you said with Brian earlier on. We've got the best years to come from him, and yes, we might have to pay 40 million or 35 million, but we've paid similar price for players who haven't had any experience in the Premier League and have flopped. Now, yes, I'm not saying he's going to necessarily guarantee to be a success, but there's a lot more chance of him being a success than paying 40 million for a player from France or from Spain or from somewhere else. There's more chance of him being a success in the Premier League than there is of pretty much anybody from outside the Premier League coming in of a similar kind of that's going to cost us a similar amount of money. And I think it's a no-brainer to try to get him. Personally, I would like the dude from Brighton, Basuma, because I think that their party would be a great midfield partnership. Get Buendia in as well to play, as Chapman said, as an option with Smith Rowe, either together or one or the other in certain games, rotate them and stuff. And I think that you can't have too many decent players in your squad, and he is better than what we've got in that position, apart from Smith Rowe. But Smith Rowe's not played many games, so you can't about that against it. And I think if we can get him if it means paying 40 million for him, or maybe a bit cheaper, get rid of a couple of players, Willock or whoever it might be, who are not playing very regular. To me, let's do it, because I think there's more chance of him hitting the ground running with us and being able to make an impact this season now, and obviously in the future, than there would be if we took a risk on somebody from a different league in a different country who doesn't speak the language or might take ages to adapt. So I think it's a player that we should look more at players playing in England. Liverpool have done it well. They've bought well from English clubs, and it's been successful for them. And I think that's the model that we should be following, as opposed to what we've done in the past. You know, like you said with Wenger. Wenger would have gone out and bought a player from France, an 18-year-old player from France for £2 million that never plays because he won't be good enough. And now we want to be following more. I think Liverpool's model, and looking at players who are playing in England for maybe smaller clubs that are doing well. And if we bought 10 of them, maybe 6 of them might not work out. But the 4 that do, if they end up to be the same impact as Wijnaldum had at Liverpool and Henderson had at Liverpool and Van Dijk had at Liverpool, then we won't have done too bad, will we? And if it means some of the others we end up getting rid of, I look at the players we've got now that we paid a lot of money for, haven't worked out, we can't get rid of them. We might as well take a chance on some players that play in the English game already, and are used to the pressure that there is, and are used to the league, are used to everything about playing in England, and maybe speak. I don't know if Wendy speaks that good English. He's Argentinian. We've got a few South Americans in our squad who can help him anyway, so he'd be able to fit in quite quickly, I think, as well. I think it makes perfect sense, and if it means paying 40 million for him and not sending them any players, I think if we've got the money to do it, we should do it. And if we haven't, then try and get a deal done. Try and give them some players that we've got. We've got a lot of excess players in our squad that ain't no use to us, and let Norwich have them.
Cool. Sold to the man in the bottom right-hand corner. No, I think you've convinced me. I think you're right, and I just can you take your batteries out for a minute now?
Yeah.
But I'm joking. No, you have everything. I agree with everything you've said, and I think you're right. I can't argue with any of that, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Ryan, what are your thoughts about the Eddie Nketiah rumours? Do you think it's a bit light, 15 to 20, or considering you have to go by Ryan Brewster as the nearest type of comparison, and obviously bearing in mind he hadn't made the first team appearance for Liverpool?
That's the
on do you think side. That's a bit light? I mean, I'm not too concerned about selling him, but that's one other point to it. On the proviso that we keep Balogun, because I don't want to lose him and Nketiah. I don't think that'd be wise. So, what's your thoughts about that situation?
Well, in terms of the price, it doesn't make because obviously with Brewster, most recent going from Liverpool to Sheffield United for 24-25 mil he went for. And he did, as you said, didn't play,
I think.
Yeah, and he hadn't played a single Premier League game. And if we've got form of doing this as well, what was it, 30 mil for another player who went to Bournemouth a year or so ago. So technically he's played a lot. He has played games in the Premier League. He has scored goals in the Premier League as well. He's going to another Premier League club, so technically we should be getting at least
all-time record goal scorer for England under 21s.
Is that as well in the last few months as well? He's done that. So really, we should be getting a lot. We should be looking at around 35, 40 at least, just based on the fact that he's played games and he's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. And as you said, at the under-21 level, he has broken the record that was long-standing from one of England's, with all due respect, even though they play for that lot down the road, an England top great goal scorer at that level.
I don't know about 35, 40, but. Yeah, I mean,
the reason I say
25 and above, maybe at least. But
the reason I say I'm saying 35 to 40 is because he's actually unlike the players that Liverpool have sold for 30 odd mil or 24 mil. He's actually played games. They're sending strikers that haven't played a game for them for 30 odd mil. So I'll take that into the equation as well. So really, we should be getting a bit more than what they're getting. And as you said, in terms of actually allowing him to go, it's like I said in the group chat yesterday, when I think someone mentioned it in the early morning. I said, as long as if that means we can keep Balogun, it doesn't mean we lose both. Then I can get on board with it. If we lose both, what was the point? because if anything,
I don't
this
think
is
we will we?
Yeah.
I
This needs to
think if we're going to get rid of Balogun, we'll keep Nketiah, and if we're going to get rid of Nketiah, we'll keep Balogun. I don't think
that's the hope. So yeah, because obviously that's the
I think
hope. Because
maybe
obviously it makes no sense otherwise. Yeah,
That's what it kind of boils down to, isn't it? Is it Nketiah or Balogun, really?
Yeah.
Same agent, isn't it? Same agent for both.
Oh, really?
yeah. But the thing is, letting Eddie go, for that to happen, you've got to be 100% sure you've convinced Balogun to sign that new contract because he's
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to do that first, wouldn't you? I think. If we're going to get rid of Nketiah, you've got to get Balogun's contract signed first. Otherwise, we're going to risk losing both of them. And we've got very little cover in the centre forward position as it is. And then we're going to have to go and buy somebody else. Yeah, and I think that we need to keep one of them definitely. And I think
in order to keep Balogun, they're probably going to have to make him some sort of promises and say, well, actually, we're going to get rid of Eddie. But I personally have a lot of as you may have heard one or two times, I have a lot of time for Eddie Nketiah. I love him. I think he's great, and I think that every time he plays, he tends to learn something new. But it pains me to say it, but I think if we can get that sort of money, 15 or 20 million that's being quoted, I do think that Balogun probably has a higher ceiling, and if he can develop anyway in any way like Nketiah has, then it would be a seriously wise move to make. And unfortunately, there's no real time for sentiment in the transfer window, especially when you're a club that's as cash strapped as we are. And we've been, as ourselves and other Arsenal fans, have been for years just banging on about, why don't we be smart in the transfer market? But unfortunately, that comes at a cost, and that comes at sometimes selling players that maybe you don't necessarily want to sell. But there you go.
Exactly.
If you could sell,
I should miss him. I shall miss him. But if it means that he gets regular Premier League minutes somewhere else, and develops into the kind of striker that he can be, then so be it. Fair play.
I still think we should try and get about 25 for him because of his record, and
he's the
I don't think anything more than that
time,
would be realistic in the current climate. But I still think we should try and get more than 15. Personally, I don't like
20. I think 20 is about fair, isn't it?
I think
when you
20
consider
million.
Brewster in the summer got 23 and a half in the middle of the pandemic.
Andrew, Brewster, they should be having a fraud squad going on that deal. He was never 23.
He got the money though.
So you can't put Brewster against what you might get for Eddie. It's two different things. And also their negotiation team, Liverpool, they must be some team to get the prices they get for selling players. Get 20 million for Eddie, it's a fair price. I'd grab your hand and go, thank you very much. Because I don't personally think he's going to make it. I'm sorry. Hope he does. I'm totally wrong. I don't see any...
I used to like you.
No, I just say what I think. I could say,
I'm joking, mate. I love Nketiah, but I think you're probably right. He has limitations. He is a certain type of striker, isn't he? And I'm not 100% certain that that's going to fit the vision of what Arteta wants to do.
You want to improve the team.
Not on a regular.
You've got a chance of getting 20 million, and you're thinking, we can't spend 40 million on this guy that might help the team out a lot that we actually need. Doesn't make sense. You've got to think about, hold on, so it's going to cost us 20 million to buy this Norwich player. At worst, if we can buy him, 20 million. It's a bit of a balancing act here. And you say that we have to keep Balogun, and I agree. I'd love to keep him because I think he might have something. But if we have to sell him as well, it wouldn't stop me selling Eddie because we've got Lacazette up front at the moment, and we get Over as well. They can both play centre forward. So it's not as if we got one goalkeeper like we have at the moment. Then the panic station's there. I want to keep Balogun, but if you can't keep Balogun, it would not make me, if I was managing or running the Arsenal, keep Eddie on that basis that, we've got no one else. I'd look to our house.
Did you say Lacazette? That geezer that 3 weeks ago everyone was saying we should sell? That bloke.
We should still sell him. The good thing is he's putting his value up all the time. He's putting his value up.
I mean, in the summer, I think we should have sold him. I was saying that in the summer we should have sold him. But
I think his value has gone up.
We ain't going to sell Lacazette, are we? Let's face it.
I think so. I think we will, but not in January. No, but in the summer.
I think we will.
I think in the summer too.
Yeah.
To be fair, there might be a slight chance we might be surprised this month, but I doubt it because Costa's left Atletico Madrid. They've always liked him. They need a striker. They really do, desperately. So
no,
I think there's a potential there personally.
Not another Chelsea cast-off. No.
Oh no, we ain't having Costa. No chance. No. No way.
Who's going to have him? Sorry.
He's still too young for us to buy him from Chelsea.
Yeah.
He's not a young whippersnapper like that.
We're going to sign Frank Lampard and play him in midfield when he gets sacked as manager.
The thing is, I'm going to finish on the transfers then, because a couple of other things I want to move on, and time's pushing on. But next week, I want to do another updated version of Deal or No Deal.
Yes.
And go through our squad and have a bit of an updated game with that. So if you want to come back on and have a game of Deal or No Deal, you're welcome next week, and make sure you tune into that one as well, because that's really good.
But I suppose I'm contractually obliged, aren't I? But
you are, yeah. You are. Otherwise, I'll sue your ass.
Yeah.
But, Melvin, we've got on Saturday the Newcastle FA Cup game.
Right.
How do you think that would be best approached with regards to the squad? Because would you go full strength for that? Or would you have just basically...
No way.
When I say full strength, I mean that like the same sort of lineup we've been having the last three games with the youngsters, Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli.
I probably wouldn't, Andrew. No, I think we've... I'd like to see them us concentrate in the league. I'd love to win the FA Cup. We wouldn't. But I'd like to... We need to concentrate in this league for the time being.
What he's saying to you, mate, is are you going... Carling Black Label, Stella, or Special Brew? Like what?
I wouldn't like him to play all three. Play one of the youngsters, but then fill the other gaps in with the Pepes of this world and things like that. Have you been
watching my video, Melvin? Have you been watching my video, Hardy?
No.
That's exactly that's what I said in my video, my preview.
I clicked on yours today, but I didn't listen to it all, in all honesty. But I didn't hear you say that, obviously. But no, that's what I would do.
How rude.
But we've got to take it seriously, the FA Cup, but not to the detriment of the league team.
But we're the holders. We're the defending champions.
Yeah, well, that is the case.
What about the central defenders? How would you sort of approach that? And
Luiz, I like David Luiz in it. David Luiz, I'll play him. And Gabriel.
My video. He's definitely watched my video. He has.
Listen, you should have said it once. I'll say it again. Straight minds think alike. All right.
No, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
What would you look at, Ryan? For your team for Newcastle?
In terms of the back line, I'd keep Leno in goal because Ron Arsenal's just don't stop.
Definitely, yeah.
I think now, right back.
What about Cedric at left back? Because he can play left back, can't he?
I was going to say, I was going to put Ainsley at right back, him at left back, and then keep the partnership as it is in the centre, just for and then give it 60 minutes or so. Bring someone else on, not a Chambers or whatever. So be it. Midfield wise, keep it as it was the other night with Jack and Ceballos. Basically, and the basic part from the fullbacks, everything as it was on Saturday.
Is that what you do?
Just what? Yeah, we're a cup holders. We can't do back-to-back defending champions get knocked out the third round again, like we did in 2017 or 20.
What about Pepe and Willock?
What about Partey? I wonder how fit he is.
Yeah,
true. He's training, so.
Who, sorry?
At least have a half, couldn't he?
Partey, yeah, he's near to full fitness. He's near to game time anyway, isn't he?
I wouldn't risk it just in case, because last time he risked it, fucking look what happened. So I'd leave it another game, wait for midweek, see how he is on midweek for the Palace game with Partey. With Pepe, FA Cup, Newcastle, he does well. He has played well against them, to be honest. So we've got to best Saka at some points, and may as well do it for that game, actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, I definitely want to see Pepe play. I really do. I'm having Pepe withdrawal symptoms. What did you say, Richard, on your channel then?
Well, I'll go for the team I said in my video, because I know Melvin hasn't watched it, so he'll save him the bother. I'll actually go through my team now. What I said was obviously Leno in goal. I would make 4 changes in defence. I'd have Cedric right back, David Luiz, and Gabriel if he's fit to play. If not, then maybe Mustafi, and then Maitland-Niles at left back. I think Tierney needs a rest. In midfield, I'd probably put El Neni back in. I wasn't thinking of Thomas Partey. I wasn't assuming he was going to be fit. So I sort of was thinking Ceballos and El Neni, but possibly Willock could play there. He hasn't played for a bit. And then in the 3 behind, I would play Pepe on the right for Saka. I'd play Martinelli on the left. I think although he needed a rest, I think he needs game time as well. So I put Martinelli on the left. And then in the number sort of 10 position, again, unfortunately, I can see Willian starting there. I personally wouldn't do that, but that's what I think Arteta will do, or possibly Willock. And then up front, I think it's going to come down to Nketiah or Balogun, probably Nketiah unless we're going to sell him. And that's the team that I can see Mikel Arteta picking. It's not necessarily a team I would personally always pick. 1 or 2 positions I would change, but I definitely think Saka needs a rest. I think Tierney needs a rest. I think Smith Rowe needs a rest. I'm not saying the FA Cup's not important, because it's massively important. I think it could be our only route back into Europe, actually. So I don't want to, I still think that playing that team it should be strong enough to beat what's going to be a second string Newcastle, I think. So I think that will be probably a similar team to what we'll end up playing. And I wouldn't mind that too much, if I'm honest. Give some of these players the opportunity to say, look, we've been left out of the team. The team's played well. We need to play better to get back in. So give them the chance. Pepe, for example, has been a big disappointment. Willian as well. Maybe throw them in and say, look, you're playing for your place in the team for the rest of the season. So go out there and do the job. And I think that could be same with David Luiz at the back as well. He's fighting for his place back now, because Holding and Mari have built up a good partnership. So I think it's a message. And with Martinelli in the team as well, I think we've always got a chance of him in the team anyway against anybody. So he's a get out of jail card if necessary, isn't he? Because he's the one player that can, do what we need to do to get through this game. Bearing in mind, Newcastle don't score many goals, do they? So we're not going to need to score more than 2, are we? Let's be honest. What
about playing Aubameyang though? Because I'd be tempted to do that to try and kickstart his goals, get him back into form.
No, I don't know. I just think at this moment in time, he's been weak actually, and I would go with Martinelli on the left, and I don't think Aubameyang through the middle. If William's going to be in the number 10 position and Pepe on the right, his point is playing Aubameyang because he's going to get no service whatsoever. So you might be better off playing Balogun there, who can at least hold the ball up and create stuff and bring other people into the game. Whereas Aubameyang won't do any of that, will he? So I can't see the point of playing Aubameyang up front with the 3 behind him that are going to be probably the 3 that's going to get selected, or certainly 2 of them. I just don't think Aubameyang's going to get the opportunities to get the goals that he needs. I think he's better off playing when we've got Smith Rowe, as we saw at the weekend when he had 2 or 3 chances, didn't he, that he's not really had lately. And yes, he missed them, but they'll come. If he keeps getting those chances, I think that he'll definitely start scoring again. But I don't think he's going to get the opportunity with the team. It's going to be, you've got to think, bear in mind, this is going to be a team that maybe was playing in the Premier League 2 weeks ago and we wasn't creating chances. It should be good enough to beat Newcastle, but I don't know.
Richard, do you honestly think the manager's going to pick Balogun, centre forward.
No,
He hasn't
I
even
think
come on the
it's more
bench.
likely to be Nketiah. It is more likely to be Nketiah. But
Yeah.
if Nketiah is going to go to Wolves, and that maybe by the weekend, if this deal's going a little bit further forward, then it's not
True
worth
that.
playing him, is it? Because he'll be cup tied for a start. So Wolves might say you're not playing him because he'll be cup tied. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I think it depends on that. Yeah, I think Nketiah would probably get the choice if this transfer isn't happening yet, or if it isn't going to happen at all. But if he's going to be on the move, there'd be no point playing Nketiah, would there? If he's going.
No, but I still don't think he'd play him.
I would.
I mean, there's no shortage. There is no shortage of people
encouragement to play him.
There's no shortage of people for the centre forward spot, is there?
I got one at a time. Chappers, what were you going to say?
Sorry, I was just saying though, like there's no shortage of people that can play in that centre forward spot or the central striker spot. You know,
I wouldn't play Aubameyang there. I'd play him on the left and Nketiah in the middle. Personally,
yeah.
Not Martinelli. Then you wouldn't play Martinelli.
No,
I'd put Martinelli there. I think he needs to come back.
I'm not saving for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, but he's had his rest, hasn't he? I think he's
I know,
not
but
played
he's coming
over
back for an injury.
I think he needs games now.
Yeah, I agree.
I would give him some minutes, but I wouldn't play him for the full match. No chance, personally. But I definitely want to play Aubameyang on the left. However, what you could do is play him in. Just give him a try on, behind a striker instead of Willian Martinelli. But I don't know. I would definitely want to play Aubameyang.
That is an interesting development. That is interesting. Why not? Why not? I mean, I don't know that would be his most natural position, but I do know that he's hungry to get into the team. And
it's not Willian's either, is it?
Well, no. Although that was very much touted when we got him at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, sorry. So and yet he's. I mean, what Willian's played there not very many times, maybe 2-3 times, and it has not worked, has it? Let's face it.
And also, Aubameyang just come back from injury himself. I wouldn't play him. Give him another little bit of a rest.
Give him some minutes off the bench, maybe,
If things are not going well, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we allowed 9 on the bench again? Are we allowed 9?
Yeah.
FA Cup?
Yeah, FA Cup.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't know.
Aziz needs to be on the bench then. If we've got 9, stick Aziz on there and Balogun if he doesn't start.
Oh, what about Reece Nelson, man? What about Reece?
He's going to Norwich, isn't he? Reece Nelson's going to Norwich, so we get Wendia. We've already sorted that out. We've already sorted that out. Try and keep him.
I better keep up, hadn't I? I didn't realise that we'd done the deal already, but yes, now
of course we have. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we did that deal 20 minutes ago. It's already done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christ, I was just turning the bloody dinner off, wasn't I? At that point?
Oh, that might have been it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a
quick hello.
negotiator.
Quick hello to Albert, DWTT, Russ. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. I think there's another. Someone said hello to you, Ryan, Bemsy. I think.
Yeah, one of my subs, my channel. Yeah.
So thanks ever so much for everyone for watching. Please give us a like, which would be really appreciated. I just want to say one other thing as well. One thing that Mark mentioned in the chat earlier as well was what's his name? The player we've been linked to from Brighton, the midfielder.
Basuma.
Got out my head.
Basuma.
Thank you. Yes, Basuma. I wonder how much it would take to get him, because I really am interested in him. Actually, saying that, I think also the Douglas Luiz is a really, really good player that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
From Villa as well.
You're not going to get him.
I think he'd be more expensive, but I really like him. He's a
terrific player.
I would love to see him alongside Thomas Partey.
McGinn as well.
I'd love to see him alongside Thomas Partey.
Big upgrade on Xhaka. He's got everything for that kid. Terrific player. We ain't going to get him. 'Cause we ain't going to get him.
Absolutely.
That's the spirit, Melvin.
Absolutely.
No, just being realistic.
But he worked with Arteta, didn't he? At Man City? He did work under Arteta at Man City. So Douglas Luiz, I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
There is a link there. There is
What
a
they
chance.
want for him, Richard? What they
Well,
want
yeah,
for him?
that's the stumbling block. We can give them half our team. We've already given them our goalkeeper. Let's just give them 3 or 4 more.
We can give them Gunnosaurus Rex. It will make any difference.
Yeah, well, give them Gunnosaurus. Yeah.
Well, in all seriousness, potentially, and I mean, this is ridiculous. What about if we gave them a nice wad of cash plus Granit Xhaka?
It's not insane.
Mm.
It's not insane.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
is
but
it?
they probably watch football.
No, it's
The Aston Villa people. Would we get away with it?
I don't think so. I think we'd be all right. But no, I mean, it's just an
Cunning
idea. But
plan,
I
man.
think if
It's
we
a
could
very
get someone
cunning
like
plan.
him or Bissouma alongside Partey, what I was going to say as well, because it just made me think what Chapper's just said about Miguel Aziz. I want Miguel Aziz to come in and be behind Partey and another next season. I want him to be part of the first team squad.
How old is he? Is
To
he
start
19?
integrating him.
19.
Decent.
19, yeah.
18 maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I haven't seen
19,
hardly
I think,
anything in his
19.
kid.
I think.
There's something about him. I don't know what it is.
Oh, so
It's just-
good.
I think when he gets
so good.
when he receives the ball, he's got no one around him, which is shows a class player. He's got that thing of getting into the right position. I mean, as I say, seen very little of him, but what I've seen, I really like.
He has, all I've got to say, he's got excellent hair.
The sooner,
Excellent hair.
Oh, yeah, it's got
yeah.
very,
the
very
sooner he
good.
gets integrated next
That's
season. I'm not saying he's going to, I want him starting next season.
He's 18,
If he
actually.
can
He's
go-
only 18.
Yeah, really?
As the first choice reserve
Wow.
behind Thomas Partey and one other, that'd be ideal for me. I'd love to see that because
Yeah.
we need to take advantage of these kids because we've got so many great academy kids at the moment, but there's a few that are special. Obviously, Smith Rowe, clearly. Saka, we've obviously already integrated. And he's another one that I would really like to have more of a look at because I've only seen him play about six or seven full matches from the full 90, but I've been really impressed with him every time, if I'm really honest. So I'd like to see more of him. And he has been making the full training, with the first team training. He's been on the bench a few times.
Also, as well, I believe, and I don't know if this is a fact, someone can maybe check it. I believe he's the only Arsenal player that's played in the first team that hasn't got their own Wikipedia page.
I'll be back in a second. Hold on.
Who knew?
1 second.
That's an absolutely staggering fact, that is. I mean, I can't believe I didn't know that, to be perfectly honest.
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm just assuming that's
why Rich is here, mate. That's why Rich is here.
Balogun's got one. Balogun's got one, but Aziz hasn't. I mean, I'm sure he's the only one who's played in the Arsenal first team that hasn't got their own Wikipedia page. Which I
What
find
about
actually
Tyrese John Jules? What about Tyrese John Jules? Has he got one?
Ah, now there's a shout. How many first team games has he played? He's played a few, actually, hasn't
Maybe
he?
one or two.
And
I think he's played
Ivan,
one Europa League game, hasn't he?
Oh, 2-0
So
Man
he's
City.
on Wikipedia. Tyrese John Jules. He's on Wikipedia, guys. He's on
Okay.
there. He's safe. He's safe. He's all right. We've got him.
Richard, doing the hard work so you don't.
You don't.
have to.
Right, I'm going to move on then because I know that some of you guys have got to shoot off soon. So I wanted to finish off really, but just with a final sort of chat about the manager, Mikel Arteta, and your thoughts, because obviously not too long ago, you all hated him and you all wanted him sacked, didn't you? I mean, but I was standing firm behind Mikel Arteta. I've never said those words. I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, I would have been devastated if we'd lost him because I've been so fervently behind him. But there's still a bit of a tinge for me. I'm fully behind the guy, but there's a little bit of a tinge with regards to how can I put it? Man management, the way he's been handling a few things, and which have just give me a little bit of doubt. But how's your sort of half season? Thoughts on Mikel Arteta. I'll start with you, Melvin. I mean, obviously we had him for summer last season, and now this is halfway through his first season, nearly. What's your sort of thoughts on Mikel Arteta?
Like I mentioned on Richard's channel the other day, man management. The way he's done with the Luiz when he should have taken him straight off, bringing Martinelli straight back after he's come back after 45 minutes, like a horrible kick to the leg. And he was limping the kid, and he brought him straight on for a minute or two, which I couldn't believe, having had the half time to assess everything. And who was the other one that he
David Luiz, after he
David Luiz ahead, Martinelli, and there was one other one.
Partey.
Pepe.
Xhaka. That's right. Thank you, Partey. Those three were like, that's the man management part of it. Also, listen, I had my doubts. I really was happy with the manager for a long time. Think this is absolutely wonderful. And then all of a sudden this season, as you know, things were happening, and I thought that he was being a bit stubborn on a few things. And like I've said before, it's all right being stubborn if you're right, and he wasn't right. He was proven not to be right. And luckily, by hook or by crook, the team changed, and he's got the formula right. And good luck to him. If it is by luck, don't care. He's got it right. So, sometimes I'd rather be lucky than clever. And I think that
one
might
thing,
be the real.
With regards to like the COVID, losing players to COVID and stuff like that. And yeah, I suppose you could say in a way that his hand was forced to play Smith Rowe, blah, blah, blah. But he wasn't forced to play Saka on the right-hand side and play things the way that he did. And I think he deserves a little bit of credit for that. And I think he deserves a lot of credit.
I'm happy with him, Andrew. No.
I know, absolutely.
But when you talk about Saka on the right-hand side, I think that is much as a plus for this team than having Smith Rowe in the team. Because teams that wanted to defend against us only had to block us on the left-hand side. Right? And you're making it very crowded there with the likes of Saka and Aubameyang and Tierney, right? They're three very, very good players, but it got a little bit crowded. When you put Saka onto the other side, you're not taking, in my opinion, too much away from that left-hand side, and it opens up the game for us beautifully. And he's not quite, but he's nearly, kind of, he's 1.5 foot, isn't he? He don't mind using his right foot. He's not shy if he has to.
His right foot's better than Pepe's left foot. I'll tell you that. His right foot's better than Pepe's left foot, Saka.
You're probably right. Yeah. He's not bad, is it? He's made a few goals and he scored one with his right foot.
He's been brilliant. Absolutely. I mean, I think it is because he's played on the right hand side a few times before, but he's never been as effective as he has been the last 3 games. It's been a revelation, and it's totally given us another dimension to our attack, like you said, Melvin. So we're not, it's not easy to predict what we're going to do anymore. You can't shut down Arsenal by shutting down our left hand side. So yeah, it's been really, really good. I mean, Ryan. I mean, there's a few things. I mean, like I said earlier about the way he's handled a few situations. But I don't think we can fault, the coaching that he's been giving us because of the way he's come through that horrendous run we had. And I don't think for 1 second he lost the dressing room because Kieran Tierney again when his interviews he's been doing says it's got nothing to do with the manager. We've been told 1,000 times what to do, and we've not been doing it, and it's down to us to turn this around. And he seems to have the support of the players, and the way he's turned it around is nothing short of brilliant. I mean, the last 3 games, and hopefully it'll continue. Touch wood. I mean, what's your sort of thoughts on him halfway through this season?
Pretty much similar to Melvin, that in the sense of it, the management side of things, as Melvin touched on, with the players that should have been coming off straight away, didn't come off. I mean, literally, the one I really do touch on was the Partey one, in the sense of, because that's the first one. It's sort of first time it happened. The players literally can't run. He's having to hop off to get the attention that he needed. And Arteta turns around, sees he's hopping off, and bollocks him, and insists he runs back on that pitch. And he's then again turning around, he's hopping on one leg. It's literally only then to do it 30 seconds later when the goal's in the net, take him off for Ceballos.
To be fair, though, he wanted him to. I think he was a bit shocked. I think he should have just sat on the pitch, though, shouldn't he, to stop the game? That's the thing. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean.
No, and also about a week later, we played Wolves at home, and you had the David Luiz Jimenez situation, which in any other game, both players come off, not just the one. Especially when the one that had come off had to go off, had to have surgery because he cracked his skull. So that should have been an alarm bells to get David Luiz off. We don't know if we didn't have a centre back on the bench anyway, but it was like again stubbornness, and why is it not just stubbornness, but what again inexperience. But at the same time, I have to ask why his experienced assistants like Steve Round or his medical team going, no, Mikel, he has to come off. It's not safe. So there's moments where he's got to take some responsibility. But so the rest of his backroom staff have to take their responsibility as well in that instance. But it also, it's fantastic. Obviously, it's fallen. Whatever way we look at it, the winning form there has fallen on his lap, and instead of falling back and going.
Can I just interrupt 1 second, Ryan? Sorry. Chappers, I know that you've got to go, so we're just going to say ta-ra to you.
Yes, ta-ra. Well, really lovely to see you guys. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And you know what? I just want to add one little point to that. To your question, you guys have been talking about man management and stuff, and actually, the one thing I think that Arteta has real difficulty managing at the moment is egos. I think he's a man with a particularly large ego himself, and I think that is probably clouding his judgment of how to sensitively manage the egos of players like Pepe, of players like Xhaka, for example, who have, or Willian is another example, Luiz. And I think actually that's probably going to continue. And Ozil, of course. I think that's going to continue to be his biggest struggle, being a manager of a high-profile team and having to keep everyone happy while at the same time getting the results that he wants. Anyway, on that note, I'll leave you. Lovely to see you, chaps.
Yeah, we'll see you for Deal or No Deal next week.
Can't wait, mate. Looking forward to it. All right.
I'll speak to you soon, pal. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah.
Take care.
See ya.
Take care.
See you later.
Right, sorry about that, Ryan. I don't know if you remember where you got to, but
no, but
he had to go.
Yeah, that's what I know. Basically, what I was saying is, hook or by hook, no matter what way we look at it, a winning formula fell into his lap on Boxing Day. And what the positive I take from it, he hasn't reverted back to type when players have come back that he used to put in no matter what, the winning hands and all that. He's kept them on the bench, or he did bring them on. There's a bit of a concern, but that's another matter. But from the starting 11 itself, he's sticking to what's working at the moment. And it's like the saying goes: if it ain't broken, why fix it? I mean, exactly, Smith, Saka, Martinelli are thriving, and Lacazette's thriving off for them players. Saying because obviously he's not having to come so far to collect the ball himself. They're breaking the lines and this, that, and the other. I mean, Smith Rowe, I know you yourself. We all have a joke off air and all that, about how you're ordering and all that. But that run off the ball for that second goal,
elite.
Wow! Is it
the touch that he took from the Lacazette pass as well? Because Lacazette pretty much wellied that ball within a short distance, and he just brought it down as if it was absolutely nothing as well, and controlled it superbly with his left foot. I mean, he's elite in that respect, and I just think that he's done it. Of course, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about just very briefly. I don't know whether any of you guys saw the tweet that I put out at work yesterday. I just had to tweet. Literally couldn't use my phone at work, but I found out something yesterday about William Saliba, and basically, I can't say who it is, but there's someone that's really well respected in the Arsenal sort of community, who's got inside knowledge of the club, said the reason William Saliba wasn't registered to play for Arsenal in Europa League was purely down to just not getting him registered due to an error. And I literally, my mouth hit the floor. And it's not the sort of thing this guy will just come out with. And I just couldn't believe that we could be so... Not only did we not get the paperwork sorted for a loan for him to go back, but if that is actually true, that we also didn't register him for the Europa League because it was another admin error, then that is just absolutely... I don't even know. I haven't got the words. It's just not acceptable.
No, it's not acceptable
under any circumstances, and people need to get sacked.
Yeah, that's sackable. Any other walk of life, that's a sackable offence. Back-to-back admin.
Basically, that has come out. I mean, I have to say allegedly and all that sort of stuff. You know,
cover yourself.
But
yeah.
this is a decent guy that you can respect, a well-respected guy that's given that information. And if that's the case, not only one mistake but two. No wonder William Saliba is absolutely fuming and saying, "Thank God he's got out of the place."
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I honestly beggars belief. Now, I really hate that situation, and I mean, our loan manager so far has got an awful lot to answer for, because a lot of people are always going after Willock and Nketiah, to be fair, and Reece Nelson, saying not good enough. I think we are in lots of cases going after the wrong people there, because I don't think a lot of it can be put down to them, because Willock, I mean, should have been out on loan for the last couple of seasons, and he hasn't been. So what's a loan manager been doing with him? Same with Reece Nelson. His loan didn't work out, but he should have had another season on loan somewhere else. And same with Nketiah. And it's all right making all these clubs like Leeds come and do a big presentation about what they're going to do with Eddie Nketiah, but it didn't work, did it? I mean,
no.
And to not get that paperwork done, it's just, I mean, what is this guy actually been doing? I mean, how many players have we got out on loan? It's not exactly loads, is it?
No.
So he had one job.
I'm really concerned about that aspect.
I mean,
I just think
what you've got to bear in mind is Arteta had no interest in playing.
Sorry, go on, Rich.
Did he? He had no interest in playing him at all. So I don't think, whether or not it was an admin error or not, maybe it might have been, it might not have been. But even if it was, I still don't think Arteta was going to play Saliba. He had no intention of playing him. And he sent him out on loan now the rest of this season, because he's got no intention of bringing him back into the squad in the second half of the season. So I don't think that's ultimately why he's not played. I think he's not played because Arteta doesn't fancy him for whatever reason. Doesn't think he's ready, or doesn't think he's good enough, or doesn't rate him, whatever it is. And I think that's the main issue. Whether or not there was an admin error or not, maybe there was, yeah, possibly. But I still don't think he would have played regardless. I still don't think he would have got picked, because I don't think Arteta could have picked him in the Premier League squad, and he didn't.
He admitted, though, at the latter stages of the Europa League group stage, that he'd made that error. He came out and virtually said he'd made that mistake, because he would have. I think he would have played him against teams like Dundalk. I really do, genuinely. And I can't remember the wording. I don't know whether one of you guys can. After one of the matches, or before one of the matches, he said that I wish we could have. But but we can't. He's not in the squad. Blah blah blah. I can't remember the actual the wording he said, but I'm sure.
But was he not saying that? I think there's a few things that Arteta said in press conferences, certainly over the last few months when things were going wrong, that was almost like he was saying, I'm responsible. So he was saying he was responsible for Mesut Ozil not playing. He was responsible for Saliba not playing. He's responsible for everything. And he keeps coming out in the press and saying he's responsible. He's responsible. And what he's doing for me is covering up for other people, whether that's the players, whether it's people behind the scenes. He's basically saying, I'm the manager, I'm to blame, so blame me, right? Which is very commendable, and that's a great, showing great leadership, possibly you could say, but it's ultimately covering up the real reasons why these things have happened. Now, in certain incidents, I think you do have to blame Arteta. I think Arteta needs to take the blame for certain things. I think there's other things that maybe the Ozil one being the main one that he maybe doesn't need to take responsibility for, but he's taking responsibility for it. So what that means is now we don't know what he's really responsible for and what he isn't, because he's basically saying he's responsible for everything when clearly he's not. So I put with Saliba, I don't think he was going to pick Saliba. And I think that he maybe said he did in that press conference because he was under a bit of pressure to why haven't you played him? Why haven't you played him? So he basically, he had to say something. And I think that was the best thing to say at the time. And that was fair enough. I'm not necessarily saying that's 100% what I believe to be the 100% true. I think he had the opportunity to put him in the Premier League squad. He didn't. He had an opportunity to put him in the Europa League squad and didn't. And now he sent him out on loan to France because he doesn't want him in the squad. And unfortunately,
probably because they're embarrassed about their mistake. They will not come clean about that mistake, according to that the person that said that information. They will not. They will never agree, come out with that because it will make them look amateurish. It makes them look like a Sunday League team not registering a player in time.
No, it does. If that's happening, that's not acceptable, as you said. But
so,
I don't think it would have.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't think that would have decided whether Saliba played or not, because I don't think he would have played anyway, even if he was registered. Because I do think
he'd play. I think he would have played in at least half of the Europa League games. Personally, I really do. I just hope. I mean, I really hope that it is all a load of bollocks, because I don't want to think of Arsenal like that. I don't want to think Arsenal were that bad, that amateurish, that we could have absolutely messed up this young kid's career for 6 months, set him back 6 months, and made him, think of Arsenal that way. Think, what the hell have I joined here? What is this? Some kind of tin pot club? I can't bear the thought of that, because Arsenal, we should be the last club anyone would ever think of that would make mistakes like that. The way that we run.
We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on.
Exactly, I know. I dread that thought.
Well, I don't know. We don't know what's going on, to be honest.
We know for a fact that it's been admitted that the paperwork wasn't done on time for the loan.
Yeah, but why is that? That could have been another reason. Man United with De Gea, their paperwork went dodgy with the Real Madrid deal.
Fax machine, in Madrid.
Funny old game that happened, wasn't it?
It's because we got rid of Real halfway through the summer transfer window, and everything was just landed up on Edu and Arteta's lap, and they just I don't think they knew what they were doing, because there's no one else there. There's no one else there.
Maybe there's been a few cock-ups along the way, possibly a lot. I think there probably has been, but I still personally don't believe he would have played regardless of that. I honestly don't, because Arteta's seems to have made it quite clear, and what with him going out on loan now, I think he's made it quite clear that he wasn't a player that he had trusted to play at this moment in time. I'm not saying he won't in the future. He feels as though he needs more game time elsewhere, because he said that, didn't he? The season was cut short in France last year, so he didn't play much on his loan, and then he's come back. He had a few issues, and obviously he wasn't quite ready to play for us at the start of the season. And yes, they should have got him out on loan then, and they didn't. And I think that was always the plan, to get him on loan. I don't think he would have played. I don't think Arteta thinks he's ready to play. And whether he's right or wrong, we're never going to know, because we've not seen him. But anyway,
I just got this horrible. I've got this horrible feeling that at some point during these next 6 months loan, we'll get all these stories in the press saying he doesn't want to come back to Arsenal in the summer and can.
Oh yeah. I
dread that, because I'd be so annoyed without him having a single chance to kick a ball for us, because
be a Clive Allen situation, won't it? It'll be a similar Clive Allen situation.
Yeah, be horrible, wouldn't it? It would be
Well,
horrible.
I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make sense. But having said that, obviously he was bought under a previous regime, wasn't he? At a different time when the club were doing things in a different way.
So was Kieran Tierney. At least he plays.
Well, yeah, but Kieran Tierney is a different level of player, isn't he?
Well, we don't know, do we? Because we haven't seen the other.
Well, no, I suppose not. But I don't know. Kieran Tierney is a bit more experienced, a little bit older. He's played at a I don't know if it's a high level, but he played in the Champions League and this, that, and the other. And you could see what a prospect he was going to be. But I don't know. Something's obviously not right with all of that.
We don't know the whole story. We do not know the whole story.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there, really, because we've been going about an hour and a half. But I've really enjoyed that. It's good to be back. And I want to thank you three, and obviously Chappers, who left earlier. I mean, Melvin, the only way, at Melvin, the only way is Arsenal Marks on Twitter. Is that right? Saving you a job.
Correct.
Reading it out.
Correct.
Because you're so far away, I'm sure you can't read it on the screen.
You'll find me at U3.
Very true. Very true. And you're, we all love having you on, Melvin. You know that. Welcome anytime.
Thanks all of them. Thanks each and every one of you. Thank you.
Same goes for all of you, obviously. And Ryan, at Mr. Arsenal podcast, at Mr. Arsenal 89 on Twitter. Is that right? Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure. And Richard, at GoonerRichB on Twitter, and the Over and Over and Over Again podcast on YouTube. Yeah?
That's correct. So he knows them all, doesn't he? He's got them well remembered, everybody.
Yeah. Well, please go and subscribe to Ryan and Richard's channels. They are excellent. And if you don't do so already, please everyone give us a like before you leave tonight. And tell your friends about us as well, because, we're back and we're staying back now. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks ever so much again. And next week, as I said earlier, it's going to be another Deal or No Deal, the squad special update. That'll be good fun. It was really good fun last time. So we'll have another go at that. So look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah.
Last thing to say. What should we say? Come on, you Gunners!
Come on, you Gunners!
Come on, you Gunners!
Hello. Andrew is back. Hello.